Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. I'm not an expert on any of this. I'm not a biologist. I'm a comedian, but there was more nuance to this latest thing in the Olympics, right? Because that boxer was born. Yeah. Let me just tell you what I think, and then you can tell me.
Great.
So she was, my understanding was that she is a very narrow category of person that has an XY chromosome, but also has a vagina and has testes inside. And she was raised as a girl and all that stuff, but she tested high for testosterone, not too high for a woman, but actually in the range of a man testosterone, which is. And so it wasn't. She wasn't trans. It wasn't one of those situations. So it's a little more nuanced than. But she was XY chromosome, and that typically means you're a male. But there was a little bit of nuance. So go ahead, tell me what.
It's true. That's almost 100% correct what you just said. So, do you remember Caster Semenya?
No, I do not.
Okay, Caster Semenya was a track and field athlete, same condition that these boxers have, has Olympic gold medals, is now no longer permitted because World Athletics, which is the international governing body for track and field, has said if you're XY, you have to be XX to compete in women's sports. That's their determination. It's governed by each of the individual governing bodies. So Caster Semenya does not have to give back her or his medals. I don't know what the person goes by at this point. The person is married to a female and the person has fathered 2 children. So male.
What?
Yes. So here's what this person has. And here's why it's linked to the trans ideology, because the language was brought to us by trans ideology. So there's a category of disorders, I guess. They're called DSDs, and they're sort of differences in sexual development. And there's a whole range of them, and they impact very small percentage of the population. This one is called 5ARD, 5ARD. So they're genetically male. Now, and keep in mind, the boxer, Imane Khelif, is Algerian. So probably not like the most advanced medical situation in that country, right? Probably not. So, but I think even people in more advanced countries don't know when they're born because it appears, to your point, like they have a vagina. Basically, they have underdeveloped male genitals and the testicles are inside and the penis is underdeveloped and it appears to be a vagina. But here's the thing. They don't end up getting their period and they do go through male puberty. And at that point, they do develop male genitalia.
Oh, so you're saying that boxer didn't go through puberty as a female? She went through puberty.
Well, they're being very cryptic, but what it seems like, and there's been more information that's come out in the last few days, is that these boxers, the IAB, which is the governing body for boxing, did testing at world championships last year for these 2 boxers, the Taiwanese boxer and the Algerian, and they both tested for XY chromosomes. Now, there's additional information coming out that their trainers knew and that, when they were boxing in Spain at some major competition, they were always paired for sparring with males because they were injuring all the women. This has all been reported in various publications. So, my suspicion is, and again, everybody's being very cryptic, is that they were not necessarily born female, but they were raised probably until 12 or 13 believing they were female. I have a lot of empathy for these people. This is a really difficult thing, but at a certain point, they did know that they were male and they continued to box or chose to box against women because they have an advantage. The Olympics, the IOC does not test for sex. They say there is no reliable test for sex eligibility.
Well, that is a chromosome test would be, right? I mean, that's what I would think.
Yes, they say that's no longer reliable. The science has changed. So this is why I say it's brought to you by trans ideology, because trans or gender ideology, they brought us, if you say you're a woman, you're a woman. It's vibes. If you feel like a woman, you are. And so the IOC is saying we're not doing that testing because there's this other science, which none of us are aware of, that says if you feel like a woman, you are. It's astonishing. I mean, that is what the corruption of language is. It leads us down this path. It's why I will no longer say trans women are women. I don't really think I ever said that, but they're not. They can be trans and they can be whatever they want to be and they can dress however they want, but they are not women. It's not the same.
So I had, I've always been a supporter of LGBTQ, and you shouldn't be discriminated against when it comes to, housing or marriage or employment and or any of that thing, and that you should be given the same dignity and respect to a trans person as you want for yourself, right? I think that attitude makes me an ally of the LGBTQ community. But then when you get into the area of sports or what is people not being able to define what a woman is, it starts to get into it starts to be absurd.
Yeah, and the problem, because I am in your camp. Look, I lived in San Francisco for 35 years. I worked in the fashion industry. Most of the people I knew in San Francisco are gay. I fought for gay marriage. I marched in the streets for it. Yes to all of that. But if you give in on the language and you acknowledge or you say or you're willing to kind of concede this point that trans women are women, then how do you say, but they can't compete in women's sports?
Right. I don't understand what's wrong with being a trans woman. I don't understand why that's so. But
Just be that.
I do know. I did see a video of a gentleman went to a pride parade and went up to women and called them trans, and they're like, "I'm not trans. I'm a real woman." So he kind of got them at their own game, which was kind of interesting to see.
Yeah.
That women born biological women and don't want to be called trans. So that is different. So,
well, I wish I wasn't 5'3". I don't know. Like, you are what you are. Like, I'm short. What are we going to do about this? Here, let me tell you one other quick story. In the same Olympics, with all this controversy over these two boxers who did win gold, they didn't lose a single round leading up to the gold medal match. They didn't lose a single round in the whole thing. There was also a female boxer who says she's a trans man, Filipino. Guess what category that person boxed in?
The women's?
Yeah. She says she's a man. Why does she box in women's?
So there is a corruption of, I will admit there is definitely but I think I didn't know that. I only knew about the one Albanian.
I would try to say the name, but I can't pronounce it.
I didn't know this.
It's a Filipino boxer. I read about it in an LGBTQ publication.
Okay.
She says she's a man. She doesn't take testosterone. That would not allow her to compete in the women's category because they do test for testosterone. But he says, I consider myself a man because my heart says so.
Oh, but physically, that person is a woman, right? So that they don't have higher testosterone and they have XX chromosomes.
Yes. So I'm fine with this person competing in women's.
Okay.
That's where they should compete.
Yeah.
Just like the male boxers should compete in men's.
Okay. Yes, that's I mean, I definitely have, sympathy or empathy or whatever the word is that applies. I have, my heart goes out to that boxer who was born XY, and
totally.
But at the same, someone has to defend women's sports. That's a reason why they have different categories.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason, to your point, in 1972 that Title IX passed so that women could have equal opportunity. If women had to compete against men, they would never make the team. They would never make the squad. They would never get a scholarship. They would never make anything. So there is a reason. But even Title IX is on the chopping block at this point because It's been rewritten by the Department of Education. I think you raised Riley. So Riley did have to swim in the 2022 NCAA championships against Will Thomas, formerly against Leah Thomas, formerly Will Thomas. Now, here, this demonstrates the advantage. As a male swimmer, Will Thomas was ranked 462nd in the country.
It's pretty comical.
In 1 year, less than 1 year,
Yes.
same training, same school, same everything, he was ranked in the top 3 across a variety of races. Now, of course, people say, oh, trained really hard. Anyone who's been an athlete knows you don't leap 450 spaces because of tough training in 1 year.
Right. I mean, Serena Williams talks about this on the David Letterman show, about how it's a totally different sport, female tennis and male tennis, and that the most mediocre of men tennis pros could beat her. And in fact,
well, she said.
Go ahead.
Does she still say it though, or she said that a while ago? I don't know if she'd still say it.
Well, I know that she decided to challenge a male who was ranked like 214th or something. And he beat her while smoking a cigarette and drinking beer. So after he played,
true?
After he played 18 rounds of golf that morning, or 18 holes of golf. Yeah. And so that's a story that I've reported on this show. So that it doesn't make it it doesn't serve anybody to deny biology, and that's so now you have this clothing. And it's called XXY. And look, you it looks like you got Kanye West to do. That's not Kanye West, but it looks kind of like that.
I don't know if probably I would avoid that at this point.
So right. So you have, so how's that going? How's your clothing company going?
It's good. We just launched about 4 months ago, so we're brand spanking new. But given, I think that the attention on this issue in particular, with the Olympics and the rewrite of Title IX has really caused people to lean in. I think a lot of people wanted to sit this one out, but now they're going, wait a minute, this is really unfair. I want my daughter to have the same opportunities I had. So, they're leaning in, and we're experiencing tremendous support. We're kind of way ahead of our projections, and it's also a really good product. It's the performance product, the leggings, the moisture wicking, all of it, the tanks and tees. I mean, our return rates are like under 5%, which is crazy. And apparel, online shopping, it's usually 25%. So I think people come for the mission and the message, but they stay because the product is actually good.
Okay. All right. And it's xx-xy.com?
xx-xyathletics.com. But you could also go to thetruthfits.com.
Okay. All right. Well, Jennifer, it's great to talk to you again. I wish you good luck with your new venture, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
Okay.
Have a good one.
All right. You too. Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.